Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we proudly present our spectacular show of podcast magic and imagination full of Disney wonder, news, and pop culture. It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast with Jenn Dave and David Dollar.
Hey, Jen. Happy January.
Hey, Dave. Happy New Year.
It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast for the 234th time. That's right. Jen and I are getting together.
Yes.
Although there have been some episodes I've missed, some you've missed, so somewhere around there. But this is the 234th iteration of the Main Street Electrical Podcast. We are celebrating our 5th year this year, by the way.
We are.
2020 seems so long ago because almost 5 years ago this month, I was meeting the team for the first time. I was hanging out in Disneyland with the team for the first time. I think in like January 20th, 21st, somewhere in there of 2020. So I got to meet the whole team. Got to see you for like the third time ever. So, you know, hanging out, meeting Kyla for the first time or whatever. And then, of course, 2 months later, the world shut down and things went crazy. And then we were like, hey, let's start a podcast, you know. Since we've got nothing else to do, why not? That's what we did. We did it just like that. If you're watching on YouTube, we did the heads just like this. Let's start a podcast. And Jen's hair is flopping everywhere. So welcome back to the Main Street Electrical Podcast, folks. It has been an insane, I would say 6 weeks from December to now. We have put out one episode in December. We had intentions of doing 2 or 3 more, and every time something would happen, either Jen would go, I can't record. I just can't do it. Or I would say, Jen, I can't do it either. Whatever, things are happening. Things are crazy. Last week, we put up a couple of encore episodes just to kind of whet your appetite. And if you've never heard the podcast before, I'm hoping that maybe you came back to this episode saying, hey, new episode, hoping that you enjoyed the podcast and everything from some of our favorite episodes from last week or from the years past or whatever. But Jen, I got to ask you, and you know what? I'll open it up to the month. How have you Disney in like the last 3 or 4 weeks?
I mean, I've been to Disney like twice.
Right.
So like that's the big one. But yeah, it's been crazy. I'm also drinking out of my Dumbo mug today. So, you know, I like that. Slightly coffee stained.
They now have released a Dumbo BrickHeads for Lego. And I am ecstatic. And for those of you, do you know what a BrickHeads is? Do you know when I say that? You know what I'm talking about? Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Hold that thought. Let me grab one real quick, and I will grab one. It's a very aesthetic style of Lego, and it's basically they do figures. And if you look over my shoulder again on YouTube, you will see I have a small display of them, which you can't really see. It's kind of fuzzy. But here is an Oswald BrickHead. It's the square kind of figure like this, and everything. And I've got like BrickHeads from Up. I've got BrickHeads from Star Wars. They have Harry Potter BrickHeads. They have all kinds of BrickHeads now, but they have a Dumbo that they just released with the large ears and stuff. And I will be getting that, by the way. Also wearing my Tomorrowland shirt, which is cool. This is my Tomorrowland sweatshirt. One of those things where you walk into Tomorrowland and you see the new stuff and you're like, hey, this is fantastic. I don't need to buy any of this. And I walk out with this, and Steph walks out with the ears. And finally, of course, I've been to Disney as well, but we'll get to all that later. I have to say this. I watched a documentary last night called Jim Henson, Idea Man. Now, this came out last May. I had never gotten around to seeing it, and which I'm a huge Muppets fan, Jim Henson fan. So this is something you'd think I'd watch immediately. Finally got around to seeing it. And it is wonderful. It is basically Jim Henson's kind of his biography documentary, directed by Ron Howard. I don't know if they put this in the theaters at all, so I don't know if it would be eligible for the Oscars at all. But it's my favorite documentary of the year. It just kind of goes through his early life, kind of his love of puppetry, his love of helping people, his love of children, telling stories, but also the hardship that he went through, where he's like, I'm telling stories to kids, but I want to do something more than this. You know, he did the Muppet Show. He canceled the Muppet Show. They wanted to keep it going. And after 5 seasons, he was like, I'm done with the Muppet Show. Let's do the Dark Crystal. And so, because he wanted to and just how, I mean, it's an incredible story. And honestly, I didn't realize that Miss Piggy came along much later in the Muppet iteration when she did. Like early on, it was Kermit, and Rolf was one of the first ones.
I love Rolf.
Rolf was one of the first Muppets, and you know, so they had some early Muppets and some different iterations that kind of morphed into what we see today. Fozzie and Gonzo and Piggy came along later as the Muppet Show was kicking off, and Sesame Street was kind of getting going and all that. And also they were doing he had done some of the early versions of CGI in the mid to mid 80s when he was doing Labyrinth with David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly, that whole story. And you're gonna have to help me here. What's the cartoon 3D character in Muppet Vision 3D. He's like, I'm the 3D figure.
Walt.
Walter. No, it's not Walter. It's
Waldo.
Walt. Is it Waldo?
I think it's Waldo.
Okay. They had him in the documentary because he was one of the early characters he had created when they were doing early CGI computer work, which makes it sense that they would put him in.
I'm Waldo, the spirit of 3D.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it is.
And like, and I saw him, I was like, that's, and I couldn't remember the guy's name, but I was like, oh, that's so and so. And of course, he went on to be a star in Muppet Vision 3D, which totally makes sense. So yeah, it's a great documentary, Jen. I think you probably would cry.
Absolutely. I would.
It's just
I would.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful.
Absolutely.
So
Brady and I were talking about the Muppets. Actually, whenever we were down in Disney.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
because we went to go see it.
I love the Muppets, and I don't understand. I guess for me, I'm like, I don't know why Disney is not just capitalizing on the Muppet fandom. And if they're worried about, like, yes, older people love the Muppets, maybe the newer fans don't, then do Muppet stuff so the newer fans will. I mean, like, I know we got Rock and Roller Coaster coming starring the Muppets, but I'm hoping they do a whole courtyard with the Muppets down there. Just a whole, I would love to see that.
Yeah, no, I would love that too.
The way it's paced out, it's like you have to, I mean, there's one way in, one way out. So it's not like there's an exit to the other side. Whereas, if it doesn't work, you can always close things that don't work. So you have Rock and Roller Coaster, Muppets, whatever, and then you have that theater, and they can do something else. And if it does something doesn't work, just shut it down and block it off. And then for sure. But like, they've spent money on much worse things than doing something else.
Well, I think the Muppets does have like that following. And I found out who Brady's favorite Muppet is. So
who is that?
Animal,
of course.
He loves Animal.
I go back and forth. Fozzie, Kermit, and Rolf. I go back and forth on all three of those. It just depends on what's going on.
Piggy, I've always loved Piggy and Gonzo.
Everybody loves Piggy. Piggy's great. And like in this documentary, too, you figure out the karate chop. You figure out the hi-ya. That was kind of accidental kind of a thing, where she always goes hi-ya and she kicks somebody across the room. That kind of morphed into when Frank Oz was doing the character. It was just kind of something he just did, and it just happened, and it just stuck because people thought the studio thought it was hilarious, and they were rather than just kidding hi-ya. That was great. So let's get to some news. We got a lot of news to talk about.
Yeah.
So first of all, let's jump in with Universal. Of course, Epic Universe is opening in May. They now have the Epic Universe shop open. Now, if you go into the concourse at MCO, at the Orlando International Airport, that huge open area, and I call it the concourse. I don't know if it's called the Grand Atrium or the big living room or whatever it's called, but they have all the shops around there. There's the Disney store there. There's a SeaWorld store. Now, on down the hallway, there actually is another Disney store and another Universal store.
Yes,
this is the big ones here. And right next to it is the Epic Universe shop. It's open. I haven't been to it yet, obviously, because they just opened it, but you can go in there.
I haven't either.
They have different sections of the store dedicated. There's Dark Universe. There's Harry Potter. There's How to Train Your Dragon.
Dark Universe, still so funny.
I'm excited.
So weird.
I mean, the Wolfman is supposed to be a family coaster, so I'm excited.
I know, but it's just so
I can't wait
creepy.
Can't wait to go.
Creepy.
Can't wait to go. Also, with the opening of Epic, sometime later on this year, September is when they've said they are closing one of the big ones. Rip Ride Rockit is now closing at Universal. Will be closing sometime in September. They have already done the permit for destruction of the coaster. What they're going to put there, I don't know. It's weird because the coaster itself has a very large footprint because it kind of wraps around through the park and in a very, very like oblong shape. So it's not like a building where you can just put something else in there. It's like when they take it down, I don't know if they're going to leave it empty or put something else. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to close sometime in September, which makes sense because years ago, you could choose up to 30 songs. It was noted because you could actually pick the song you wanted to listen to as you were riding
which
the
was
coaster.
cool.
And then they pared it down to like 5 songs. And then like the song choice was taken away. And like they kind of brought that down little by little. And so it made me think, they're probably going to close it. And they are. It's going to close.
And they are.
I love that coaster.
Yeah.
I do. I love that coaster. All right, over to Disney World. Let's talk about free dining. Free dining. It was one of the promotions that was announced for Disney World. Let me give you the details here. From January 2nd, which was a week ago, to February the 10th. So about a month booking window, maybe 5-week booking window. You can get a free dining plan with a purchase of a non-discounted minimum 3-night, minimum 3-day Walt Disney Travel Company package that includes a room, a Disney resort, and a ticket with a park hopper option. So stay at least 3 nights, get at least a 3-day park hopper ticket at a select Disney resort. And when we say select, Jen, that's pretty much all of them.
Pretty much all of them.
Like some of the good neighbors, a lot of the good neighbors.
No good neighbors because you can't get a dining plan there. But I mean, when they say select, it's just because on a certain date, Pop Century might not be available, but the Grand is. But on that date, but a different date. Grand Floridian might not be available, but you could get it at Port Orleans, So
now, are these the kind of offers too that they exclude like the 3-bedroom villas and things like that? Some of the DVC rooms and such.
Typically, yeah. I mean, I would have to go in and look at the fine print on this one because, to be honest, I don't have anybody in a 3-bedroom villa, so I didn't go look. But typically, that is an exclusion.
Right. So what I'm hearing you say is call your favorite travel agent for all the details, or just pick us. Pick one of us. We'll be happy to help you.
Pick one of us. We can do it.
These are for arrivals May 27th through June 26th. Yep. Then there's a blackout window June 27th through July 6th, and then again through July 7th through August 6th. So free dining through most of June,
most of
and
the summer.
much of July into early August. Free dining plan. Jen, how does it work? What resorts do you get with the dining plans? Do you just get a free one with whatever? What do you get?
All right, so it's going to be dependent on where you are staying. So if you are staying at a value or a moderate resort, you are going to get a quick service dining plan, which is 2 quick service credits, 1 snack, and 1 refillable mug per person. The meals, that's per night also. I mean, only 1 refillable mug, but like for the snacks and the meal, it's, yeah, per night of stay. And then deluxe and deluxe villa resorts will get the full dining plan. That's 1 sit down meal, 1 quick service meal, 1 snack per person per night, and the
refillable mug.
Refillable mug. Yeah.
Yes. So, and to put it plainly, I would say per person per night. It averages out to per person per night. They're credits assigned to your room. So if Dad wants to have 2 steak entrees at one night, having 2 table service meals at the same place, he can do so. He can do that. If you want to go and get 19
flexible
snacks at the end of your trip, you can do that. You can do 4 quick services in one day and do 3 table services. I'm like, it's credits assigned to the room itself. It averages out to per person per night. So again, that's some nuance you can talk to about your favorite travel agent. Pick us. So there is some of that. But yeah, you're right. Quick service for moderate and value, deluxe dining plan for the regular, and for the regular dining plan for the Disney Deluxe Resorts and Deluxe Villas. And if you are in a value or moderate and you want to upgrade, you can pay the difference, which is a really, really good price. It's not really that much for free dining plan, for that dining plan. So,
and especially if you're going to do a lot of character meals, it would be a good idea to upgrade to the regular dining plan.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that too. So closings, let's talk a little bit of closings. Big Thunder is now closed. They are closed till next year. Now, they're saying early 2026. It might be January, February, March. I'm guessing probably by March, but that's a total guess.
I'm sure they're going to try to get it up by March.
Yeah. And who knows? They may have it up by November. They're saying they're going to have some special magic attached to it. And it is one of those. This one does not go down for refurb very often, other than maybe a week here, 2 weeks there.
Yeah.
They're likely going to overhaul, maybe replace a lot of track. This is one of those like
some of the special effects have stopped working years ago, and so hopefully this is going to allow them to do that.
My theory is that Villains Land, they're going to be working on Villains Land stuff and some Cars Land stuff as well in that area. I don't know that for sure, but also you got to think with those 2 lands going in, there's going to be much more traffic at Big Thunder, which means there's going to be more. It's going to be busier, if you can imagine that, which means they need to make sure everything's in tip-top shape, because you can't close it in 2 years when everything is open. You just can't.
You can't do that.
So so Big Thunder's closed. Also closing Gran Fiesta Tour. Now it's not going to close for a full year. It's closed already. It's going to be closed through March 15th. They get the signs up and everything. They got the signs are hidden. Whatever. You can't go to Gran Fiesta Tour over the 3 Caballeros in Mexico. So you're going to have to stop at La Cava, have a margarita, and then leave. Dino Land closing also on the 12th. So currently, when we're recording, it's the 8th. You have a few more days to enjoy Chester and Hester's Fun Fossil Games. Have you ever played those games? I'm like at all.
One time during a DVC after hours event, because it was free play. So I was like, why not?
Like I don't even think I knew. Like I knew that they cost money, but I don't like if somebody had asked me, how do you play those games? I'd have to go, I think you get tokens. Where do you get the tokens? I didn't know they were in the gift shop. Like until this time, until this past trip, I had no idea they were in the gift shop. I'm like, I didn't play it. I should have just to say I've done it. Didn't do it. But that's all closing. And of course, Triceratops Spin is closing. The gift shop is closing. I don't know if we'll continue to hear Walk the Dinosaur anymore or Digging Up Bones anymore on the loudspeaker. I'm not really sure. They have said the dinosaur ride is going to remain open through 2026.
Yes. And Restaurantosaurus is staying.
So Restaurantosaurus open too. And right now the Boneyard, as far as I know, is staying open.
As far as I know, that one's open too.
Here's my thing, and maybe here's the thing, because we have only recorded once in like 6 weeks. I can't remember what we've talked about in terms of this stuff. My opinions on things. Disney, keep the Boneyard open. Parents love this playground. Slap a few signs on it, and it suddenly becomes from a Boneyard archaeological dig to an Indiana Jones archaeological dig. You don't have to do that much. Like I would
would
I
be
would
shocked
go
if they
for me
don't.
to give you some sign money to repaint the
I
signs.
I
It's
would be
just-
shocked unless they really need that
know.
landscape for something else. I can't
Right.
imagine why they wouldn't leave it
And
open.
it
It's
sits
always
outside
full.
of Dino Land, so it's like.
Yeah.
So here's the thing too. Oh, I have it, Jen. Maybe not
What?
this year, but next year, Festival of the Arts. You know how they do the mural and everything with things. People
Yeah,
can come
yeah,
up
yeah,
and they
yeah.
can like get a little thing and they can whatever. Do Indiana Jones Big Dig signage and put that up and let the guests paint the signs.
Oh, that would be cute.
Disney has us do the work for them. They take those signs, put it in Dino Land, or put it in the place where the Boneyard is. Suddenly we can go and be like, I helped paint that sign. It's a win-win-win for everybody. This is brilliant. Josh, tomorrow, I know you're on this. You're listening. Heather, you're listening too. Call Josh. Put this in the
Oh my
pipeline.
gosh.
Get that done. This is fantastic. We're going to have it done. Also, let's see. I think 70th anniversary of Disneyland is going to be this year.
Yes.
70 years. That's insane.
70
It's just-
years.
it's- they're going to do a big
70
to-do because Disney always has a big to-do about Disneyland.
They will. Yeah.
Disney
it is-
World's like, anniversary of Disneyland is like, party! So, you
yeah.
know.
May 16th is when that starts
Yep,
officially,
starts.
is May 16th.
course.
And I mean, they usually have some really fun things. I know they're doing limited time entertainment. We don't know everything
Right.
though yet that's coming out. And there will be merch. Like I know there will
Of
be merch.
course there's going to be merch.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of merch.
And
So
let
that's
me
coming.
tell you, well, I would say, let me tell you though, I've had interest from some of my great clients who like they go to Disney typically year after year, but now they're like, we need to go see where it started. Like we need to go to Disneyland.
Yes.
So that has actually been, we've had a huge influx of requests. So because of the 70th, if you're thinking about Disneyland, good, especially if you're liking to stay on site, which it is really cool.
Right.
You wanna just like walk in. Check that out.
It is going to be great. And if you don't want to stay on site as well, there's a whole number. Like I love.
Oh yeah, good
I
neighbor
love a lot of
hotels.
good neighbors right there in the front. I book a lot of
Yeah.
those, and I have experience in some of those.
Right
I'm talking
along-
about those as well. I know Jen's like Grand Californian or nothing. And
No,
I'm like,
I love
"Hey,
Disneyland Hotel.
Anaheim
actually.
Inn over here. Anaheim Inn. I've stayed there. How at the Hojo, So it's a 17-minute walk at a brisk pace. So there is that. But 70 years is crazy. Of course, the 75th I think will be an even bigger blowout. But yeah, you're right. If
Yeah,
you want to
it
go to Disneyland, especially in July,
Mhm.
especially that second or third week in July when you're actually hitting the date
Yep.
of the 70th anniversary, book now. It's going to be insane.
It is going to be well, I mean, and when we say that, keep in mind, insane for Disneyland is different than insane for Disney World.
Right,
Because
right.
World is sort of like the one that everybody goes to, and Land
Mm-hmm.
has always been a locals park. Now, not that it's still a locals park necessarily, people. It is a destination, but it is not.
course.
It doesn't have as much pull as World. But the other thing I would say is there are like amazing stackable offers. If you're still looking for last minute spring break, I just booked somebody. The 3-day $50 tickets for kids can be stacked with the stay discounts, and it was a ridiculous price. Like
Well, and
ridiculous.
The crazy thing about last minute trips is they're possible because last week
at land, yes.
At
it
land,
is.
at land. But I mean, honestly,
Yes.
they're possible all over. The end of December, actually the first or the second, no, December the 29th, 30th, I got an interest about a Hard Rock Hotel stay at Universal in Orlando. I
Yeah.
booked it. They went the 2nd and 3rd of January. So they went literally 3 days later. I just booked a Disney cruise for a family going in 3 weeks because they were like, we don't have anything to do for February. We have a little bit of money, Christmas money. We want to go on a cruise. What do you got?
Yeah.
I'm like, here it is. They're like, let's go. So
Awesome.
people all the time. I mean, I love, bless their wonderful hearts. I love the guests that come to me going, so it's January right now. We want to go in May. Is that too, are we asking for too much? I'm like, my friend,
We're good.
if you wanted to go today, I could book you, honestly. And I have had my favorite story. I probably told this story before because I love my stories and I love to hear myself talk. But I've told these stories. Like I've had a client call me on the way to Disney World. They're driving to Disney World. Hey, we're about 6 hours out. We don't have a place to stay. Can you book us a hotel real quick to check in as soon as we get there and get us some tickets? And it was like June or something. So there was availability. I was like, 30 minutes later, called back going, I got you guys at All Star Movies. That's what was available. 3-day tickets. They were like, perfect. Here's my credit card. But done. They checked in literally 6 hours later. It was fantastic. So,
So it's yeah. I mean, if you're gonna go last minute, just keep in mind, like we can probably do it,
temper expectations.
but you
Yep.
have to know that it's no. If you're expecting the Grand, that might be sold out. You might not get that. You might have
Right.
to compromise a little bit.
Right now, if you called me today and you're like, hey, I'm going to run the marathon this weekend, so I need to be there by Friday. Can I stay at Pop Century? Probably not. It's on the Skyliner or Pop Century. Some of the value resorts get booked up quickly.
Correct.
But I got a great Polynesian room for you if you want to talk about that. I mean, just so temper
Yeah,
expectations.
yeah.
But last minute trips are very, very, very possible.
They're
That was
possible.
a random just thrown out there. Finally, the Festival of the Arts starts January the 17th, ends
Yes.
February 24th. I want to get to this festival so badly.
It is such a great festival.
I want to get down there so badly, and I don't think that I
It's such a
can.
great festival.
Which means I'm going to miss the Grand Slam for the festival again.
No.
We've talked about making a group trip next
Wah-wah.
February or next January for our team. So maybe we'll see Crystal
Maybe.
Fingers. I don't know, maybe. But so there is all that. Now, normally about this time we would be doing the year in review for the previous year. We kind of give a rundown,
would.
maybe January through December of all the big events that happened, kind of discuss them, kind of give a review.
There's
what
a
worked,
lot,
what didn't,
yeah.
whatever. Didn't have time to put it together, and I don't want to just throw it haphazardly together. Going, hey, you remember that time in June when this happened? And then Jen would go, that happened in September. Oh yeah, you're right. Don't want to do that. One of the things I realized, because we did have a really busy December and we couldn't record that much, is that we'd never talked about Jollywood and the
Correct.
Christmas party. So I want to do a quick review of both of those. Now, this is kind of
Yep.
our last Christmas conversation as we
Right.
move on to the new year. Next year, we're going to have the year in review for 2024. I'm going to have quasi-producer Heather come on, try to get her on with us as well, because we can all talk about that. And she is the magical light of sunshine when it comes to Disney, because she will tell you
She
that
is.
everything is right in the world when it comes to Disney. And after you
Yep.
get to listen to her, you're like, wow, Disney is the best place on earth.
Right.
They're
Right.
perfect. It's great. So, Jollywood, of course, is an event that happens at Hollywood Studios. It happened
Yes.
eight or nine nights over the course of November and December. I was very happy that it came back from the previous year. Now, of course,
Yep.
notoriously, when it opened up the first time in November 2023, it was just an absolute disaster. There were
It
so
was,
many people
yes.
talking about how bad it was. We, as a team, myself, Jen, a few other people, got to go. We actually went the second night, and the second night,
Mhm.
all the stuff that I had feared for the first night was gone. It was wonderful. It was
great.
so much fun.
It was great.
This year, even better. I would say
was.
even better.
I
This is
agree.
one of those instances,
I agree.
and I'm not saying this because we are not a Disney official podcast. We are fans of Disney. but
Yeah.
we will be critical of Disney when we have to be. When we're, I want to be fair about it. I feel like this is one true instance when Disney listened to their fans.
They did.
They did. There's more
They
stuff to do this time around. There
Yep.
were more characters. There were more.
It was
food, there's more
longer.
options.
They
longer.
Longer.
Longer. And so it was a wonderful event. Now, there were
Yeah.
kids there. There were a lot of people there. A lot of families were
Yep,
there.
a lot of
This is
families.
an event really, to me, geared towards the older set, teenagers and
agree.
above. People who
Mhm.
aren't like, I got to ride rides the whole time, ride, which you
No,
can
I mean,
definitely
it's
do,
great for just
you know.
ride. Like, if you want to treat it more like an after hours
Right.
event with some special things, like, okay, that's great too. But
Right.
Yeah.
So just running through some of the events real quick, and then we'll kind of give an overview. But of course, they had the Tip Top Club, which is the jazz
Mhm.
club over at Tower of Terror. You have a jazz singer there with dancing and stuff. They had the Latin Street Party, which was the animation
Right.
courtyard. You had a guy out there singing, and everybody was dancing and jumping around.
Mhm.
You had special merch, special food. A lot of locations were open. You had the Frozen. You had the Pixar like dance party over in the Pixar area with Frozone and Edna Mode, and Sully was out there. They had a DJ out there going
that
on.
was a fun party, actually.
There was snow going on there. They had ice
Yeah.
skating. Ice skating was happening. And they had different characters everywhere. Last year, the characters I think were good, but they should have had more. This year,
Yeah,
they
there
had
weren't
a
enough.
ton of characters out.
They did.
Jen, your impressions of Jollywood. Talk a little bit about what you really liked about Jollywood.
Gosh. I mean, I always love the Tip Top Club. That was the
Of
reason I
course.
wanted to go in the first
Yep.
place.
Yep.
And so that is always on point. Started there because that's like my priority. But then aside from that, I mean, I just thought, especially this year, there was so much to do. My impressions
Mm-hmm.
were like overall good. It's very festive. Like everybody's having fun. Lots of people dressing up. Okay. Not everybody, but again, I'm not there for the rides. I'm there to do things. And I was excited that this year we took advantage of some of the special photo ops, which I did not last year. Like,
Which was cool. I don't think they had many of them last year because I don't
They
remember that.
didn't.
Maybe
don't-
they were, but I don't remember them.
I don't remember them, but like they had the one outside of the or near the Latin dance party, which
Yes.
was so fun. They kept it moving. The Muppets one was a little bit longer, I will say. That one ate up a little bit of time, but it
It's
was
also the
worth it.
Muppets.
But it's also the
They
Muppets,
had
and
already
it was
announced
like
that the courtyard was
so.
going away, so I think people were getting in
I
there to
think
get
people
those
were
last
fly,
photos.
and
things.
yeah, but I think it was worth it. It was like a really good. It was really neat how they did the videos
Right.
and how they did the photos. So
Right.
I just think overall, like I loved how they moved because last year the Latin Street Party was down by ABC Commissary and Baseline, and
Yep.
this year they of course moved it by
Animation
Launch Bay.
courtyard.
animation
Bay,
courtyard,
yeah,
launch
which
bay.
is a much bigger area, much wider and bigger.
So much more comfortable.
Instead of like a long rectangle, like a big like straight aisle, it was a
Yes.
big square area,
And then
which
they were
was a
like
lot more
trading
movable.
off and they
Right.
added some
Yep.
entertainment. So
Yep.
I just think that it's the entertainment I think is fabulous. I mean, they
Hmm.
really nail it and knock it out of the park. Um, honestly, the whole thing, like I do, so it's like no notes. You did great. Like good
Right.
job. Do it again.
Exactly.
Like
I agree. I have no notes. I do.
no
The crowd
notes.
was fantastic. It's one of those parties that it's just pricey enough that if you're
Right.
gonna pay it, you want to be there. It's not like you're like,
Correct.
well, it's $20. I just came. No, it's pricey
No,
enough,
you want
but
to be
it's
there.
not so pricey that it prices you out. You're like, I can't spend the
Correct.
money on that. It's fine.
Right.
Family of six may have more more problems with this than a
Well, I
family
mean,
of
just
one.
because there's six
You know,
people. Right.
Right.
But
My family did not go. I think our party was sold out by the time it got there. Our party was sold out,
it was sold out by
but
the
it
time we
never
got
felt
there.
crowded. It never felt crowded at
No,
all.
never.
And there were people in our group that took advantage of the rides. Upon Star Susan and Upon Star Casey, they all went and
Yeah,
they did a
they
lot of rides.
absolutely. Yeah,
They got
Jamie
on
did a lot of
rides in like
rides.
20 minutes. They got on, Slinky Dog in like 10, which is
Oh
crazy.
yeah,
They
the
had
lines are
characters
so
back there
short.
as well. So they had a lot of things going on.
So
If there
good.
is, if I were going to give any notes, and I don't know, maybe Disney's not doing this on purpose because they feel like everybody would be back there. I
Yeah.
really wish they would do something for Life Day in Galaxy's Edge. Make it a Life Day
Ah,
celebration back there because it is that's the holiday celebration in Star
right.
Wars universe as Life Day, as seen in the Star Wars Christmas
I'm
special.
actually surprised they don't do that in general during the
So
holidays.
well, that would be cool too because I think November
Yeah.
the 7th or 8th. I can't. I'm getting Mickey's birthday is November 18th, and so I don't want
It's
to get mixed
18th.
up
Yeah.
with Life Day. Maybe it's somewhere right in there. But yeah, this would be a great thing to do for Life Day. You could sell a ton of merch.
Oh yeah.
Do like have Chewbacca and his
Hmm.
family out there for like oh my, if you had Chewbacca and you had like and these are serious. These are the kids like Lumpy and his wife's name was Mara and his dad's name was Itchy, I think. I'm not making these names up. I mean, these are serious names in the like if you had the family out there,
Yeah.
people would go bonkers
They would.
over this, and
They
they would
would.
be like, "Disney is the best thing ever." It would be so great. I mean, and all you'd have to do is kind of just change the costumes up a little bit. Yeah, so that would be my only notes is having something back there for that.
Yeah.
But they did have a lot of character meals, character meetups. Honestly,
Yeah.
the drinks were great. I'm not a drinker, but
Hmm.
I still had one of the ones at the Tip Top Club, which was fantastic. It was just overall a great atmosphere. It was a lot
It
of
was so much
fun.
fun. And
It
the
was
food
fun.
was good. And I had,
Yeah, food
in
was good.
addition to the
Yep.
popover, which we had last year too, we
Hmm.
did an encore of the popover. I had the birria taco over at
Hmm.
ABC Commissary, and it was delicious.
Yeah. One of the things I heard about the party in 2023 was that the Brown Derby was kind of a mess. I mean, like you had to go in
Hmm.
there and you had to sit to eat your food, taking up
Yeah.
valuable party time, and it was kind of like they had a little bit of
Right.
decor and that was it. This year, from what I understand, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, there was more decor. It was a more streamlined system. You got in and out a little faster, so it wasn't like crap. We're gonna be here over an hour waiting for food and to
Right.
check whatever. It
Right.
was didn't go because I don't want to sit during a party like that, but it was really really good. I mean, it was
Yeah.
all the whole party was great.
It was
Hollywood
great.
Studios. I mean, I honestly I missed Jingle Bell Jingle Bam. I missed it because we just were doing everything else, and I was like,
Yeah, I know.
miss
I mean,
that.
and it's a great show, but like
Yep,
I've seen that one, and so
yep,
that wasn't a priority for me, but
right.
it's a great show. And like you
They had
should
the ice skating out
totally
there
go
in
see
front
it.
of the court, in front of the Man's Chinese Theater. It was a little
Yep.
ice skating performance, which was nothing but like I'm making these numbers up, 25 foot by 25 foot piece of ice where the cast members were performing on. And
Yeah.
I've heard, I think quasi producer Heather, aka the Moana mom, she was like, it was a little cheesy, but it was really cute. They had
Susan and
yeah.
Casey enjoyed it though. They
Okay,
said
well they
that,
enjoyed it.
yeah, they
Good.
said that, well, so when as Heather went to the first one, and I
Hmm.
guess everybody was sitting down maybe, and like it was kind
Okay.
of hard to see. And Susan said it was different. And they were like all kind of, so I think they maybe made some, much like last year, they made
Right.
tweaks from opening night. I think they tweaked that one too.
Good.
So I'll be curious
Good.
about next year.
And finally, I didn't see it again this year because I saw it again in 2023, or I saw it for the first time in 2023. The Jack Skellington sing along for Nightmare Before
Yes.
Christmas. The puppetry in that is unreal. Pictures do not do it justice.
So
We were sitting
good.
in the audience, and here comes a 15-foot Jack Skellington puppet on stage, and then a 9-foot Oogie
Yeah.
Boogie puppet on stage. And they're like all motions and it's really great. And finally, of course, the Muppet Variety Show where they had the different
Yes.
entertainers. A lot of the show was kind of the same as it was last year. I would love to see them change that up from year to year. I think it might have been a little
Mhm.
different, but mostly the
It's a
same.
little bit different,
Um,
but
but
yeah,
overall, Jollywood A+ across the board. I
so
loved
good.
it. So,
So good.
and then of course the next night, and we were all fortunate and blessed enough to be in a situation where we went to
Yeah.
Jollywood one night, and then we went to the
And the
Christmas party
next
the
night,
next night, which was crazy, but we did it. It's one of those two where I bought tickets like in June for Jollywood and then like September for the Christmas party. So it wasn't
I
like
didn't
all that
even
money out of my
buy, I
pocket.
didn't even get a ticket to the Christmas party until November. Only
Yeah,
because, like,
yeah. When they started selling out, it was like, okay,
I
we
wasn't
gotta
planning to
get a ticket.
go.
So Christmas party, it was. I had not been since 2022, so I had missed a year of 2023.
Mhm.
It's not something, and it's not something I'm going to go to again next year because I've been and it's great. It was a lot of fun. It was a
It was
lot
so
of
much
fun,
fun.
and this
It
is
was a good
this is
time.
something that if you have the money, if you're okay spending the money, and you
Yeah.
have the family, take the family to this. I would say take the whole family, the kids and everything to this over Jollywood. If you're a couple, if you're some
Yeah.
older teenagers or whatever, and you want something just really cool, a different experience, do Jollywood. Christmas party though, the parade was fantastic. The fireworks were great. Like all of it was just great. I mean, you had the cookies and
Mhm.
everything. And again, with the group, we're running around, we're doing rides, we're seeing the photo ops, and we're just seeing things. And of course, they had
Mhm.
Goofy and Powerline doing the dance party and stuff, and we saw some of that.
Yeah.
And just it was overall just a great atmosphere. I mean,
It was so much
the
fun.
it was a lot of fun.
Yes, we got to see Tally the elf.
We
Yes.
saw Tally the elf,
We
which
saw Tally.
when we saw him, it was funny because I don't feel like Tally the elf had really gotten a lot of notoriety until not long after we had gone
It
seen
was
him.
like right after we
Because
saw
it was
him.
one of
Like
those
it
things
took
where
off.
like we all looked at each other going, "We saw Tally. We saw him." Because I think Alexa was like, "You
It
have to go
was
see Tally."
just
Who's
starting.
Tally?
It was just starting
Yes.
when we were there, and she's like, "Oh my
Yep.
God, Tally's going to be here." And we're like,
So
"Yeah." So
to explain for the audience who don't know who Tally is, and again, if you can correct me, Jen, if I'm wrong on this,
Mhm.
and I don't speak for Disney. I do not speak for Disney, nor do
Yeah.
I speak for Tally. By the way, Tally is a cast member elf that was in the
Yes.
parade. And
Yes.
apparently he really added some things to his performance. He had a great
Yeah.
time and he became like this character that people knew. And it
Yeah.
wasn't like Disney pointed to him and said, "You do this." It was more of a, "I'm an elf and I want to do some fun things with my character." And again, I don't know how it works and what they're given, but I'm guessing that the cast members have a little leeway to make their characters
And he's
distinctive because
Tally because he's got the
yes,
naughty and
he's got a
nice
list, and he's
That's why
writing
he's
things on the list.
Tally.
You're on the
Yeah.
you're on the bad list, you're on the good list, or whatever.
Yeah.
And he came over to us. I got a high five. He told me I was on the good list. He did that. I saw him. I've got the fist bumps and everything. Tally
We
was
have
great.
video. We have the
And
video.
now we have to express the dark side of Disney fandom because somehow people figured out who he was, who he actually was in real life. They doxed him. They made his name online. It was just like, people, why?
Well,
what are you
allegedly,
doing?
we have to say allegedly. This is we don't know this for a fact, but that's
I say allegedly,
yeah.
but it happened. And so it's it's and I don't know how Disney does things, honestly. So I'm not going to be like, well, they reacted like this. Tally was moved for a couple of nights. He came back. It could have been scheduled. It could not have been. I'm not going to speculate
Yeah.
at all as to whether what Disney did. I don't know what their schedule was. I have no idea. We were all like, oh no, Tally's gone. He was back a day or two later. So if Tally comes back next year, awesome. Fantastic. If you see Tally or the cast member that is known to Tally in the parks doing other jobs, let him be a cast member and have some fun.
Yeah.
Don't be like, hey, it's fine. Y'all simmer down. Y'all simmer down. Christmas party, fantastic. I loved it. I love the Christmas party.
Yeah, it was so good.
And so I recommend it next year, especially if you've never gone. I recommend it. If you've gone the year before, if you've gone in previous years, it's not something I feel like you have to go every single year, but hey, if you can, great, go. So, Jen, New Year's Eve, you got to go for New Year's Eve again. So talk a little bit about that real quick.
Yeah, and so New Year's Eve, I for several years we have gone to Epcot. I can't say every year for several years, but several different years, and often many times in a row. And so this year again, we were back at Epcot for New Year's. So much fun as always. They moved around some of the dance part, like the silent dance party moved from Japan to UK, and then the DJs, they brought back Atomic Blonde to Italy, who she did a great job.
Okay.
This year the music was, I think they're moving the music like as I get older. And like I still heard some of my music, but also like some of like just under me music. That was still fun, but like the generation right below me. But it was still a great time dancing. And then they have I don't know who the DJ is in China, but that's always the best dance party. Literally fantastic. Made our way to the front of the stage, so it was just a really great time. Unfortunately, everybody starting in the UK caught on, maybe because they were all listening to our podcast, but it was very packed.
Of course. Right.
It was very, very packed this year when we went. We're like, wait, no. You guys all can't be here. This is where we go.
Right.
But it was a good time. So we ended up, because it was like blocked off the way we typically go, then UK over to Mexico and work our way around and in France. Except this year we literally could not move going that way. So we had to backtrack and go around the other way. And so then we went in reverse order and then hit back to end in France. So it was just a little bit different this year, but it was still a really good time. And the bus stops though were so full. And we always when we
they
leave,
didn't have the Skyliner running at all.
Skyliner still runs. No, the Skyliner runs, but I wasn't on a Skyliner resort. I was at Saratoga.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I had to take the bus. So we got to the bus.
Skyliner to like Beach Club or something, and then caught an Uber.
They had no, on New Year's Eve the Ubers are bananas.
Gotcha. Okay.
Last year, Kyla waited for an hour and a half for an Uber. So,
yeah, just kidding. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. So the buses are the better way to go. And we thought that the bus line looked insane. But I tell you what, they had those buses, boom, 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 boom. And like if they had to load in like a scooter on one of them, which they did, they pulled up another bus in front of it so that the line kept moving while they were loading the scooter. And then they would load up that bus. And so sometimes it was like 2 buses at a time for the longer lines, just to keep the line moving. So
of course.
Yeah, they did a great job. It was so much fun as always. And the tail end of the holiday decor,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any reason going there and not Magic Kingdom? Are you guys ever going to go to Magic Kingdom for New Year's Eve, or are you just always going to be in Epcot?
Oh, I will never go to Magic Kingdom New Year's Eve. No way. Heck no.
Now, have you done Magic Kingdom on New Year's Eve, or is it one of those you've seen the lines, you've seen the crowds, you'll never go?
Never do it. I've seen them. I have seen the fireworks because I watched them from California Grill, because they will do the fireworks on the 30th. Typically, they will do the Fantasy in the Sky, or sorry, what do they call it? Not Fantasy in the Sky. Whatever, the New Year's Eve fireworks, they will do those on the night before as well. So I have seen the fireworks, but nope, you will not catch me in there. No.
Anyway, is it just because it's so crowded, or because Magic Kingdom does close the capacity, and you're talking about 80 to 85,000
and it's a smaller park,
of
and
your
it's a
favorite
smaller
friends. Yep.
Yeah.
Epcot
it's a lot.
very seldom closes the capacity, but we're also talking about 120,000 of your closest friends. Those numbers are arbitrary. Disney has never revealed.
But you can still get out of the crowd. Like in Epcot, there are still places to go. That's the thing. Like you don't have to, if you don't want to be in a dance party. You
can't go to Living with the Land. Not at Glimmering Greenhouse.
Yes, you can.
I'm just saying, like in terms of low crowds, because low crowds.
Well, no, but it's a walk on the way out after midnight. The fireworks, we stop because the bus lines are going to be long, right? Yep. We stop at Glimmering Greenhouses. And
as you mentioned, you're talking about, hey, people don't come over here. People are finding out because they listen to our podcast. People have really discovered the Glimmering Greenhouse because we all went over our trip in early December, and it was a 35-minute line. We made Kyla wait. I legitimately think she was angry. Like, I actually think she was legitimately angry.
She was annoyed.
And she was laughing about it, but I think she was actually mad at me and our dear opponent, Kristen.
Mad.
I don't know.
Mad. She was annoyed.
She was so mad. She was pretty angry that she had to wait 35 minutes. And because honestly, and the next day I looked at the wait time, it was like, 12 minutes. People are discovering the Glimmering Greenhouse and all the lights and everything in there. So yeah, New Year's Eve, great party, Jollywood, Christmas party and everything. So real quick, before we end the show, as we end the show, I want to talk a little bit about our December. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to give Disney their flowers. I want to make sure Disney is properly recognized in a public forum. We had an incident, myself and my family, had an incident early December, and this is what made my entire month skewer completely off base. Like, we had plans for an episode the second week of December. It didn't happen. We had plans to do certain things on the show. Everything just got totally just whatever. I barely did any, I kept up with my clients that I had booked, but I didn't even look at doing much travel at all, like for the first 2 weeks of December, because we got there. Let me set this up. Some years ago, we asked our kid, he's 13, of course, he is on the spectrum. We asked him, do you want to go to Disney World for your birthday or have a party? Because we could spend, a few $100 having a proper party at the local park, whatever. Or we could spend, go to Disney World for 7 days. And of course, he said Disney World. That is his happy place. He loves Disney World. Been going since he was a baby. He has this thing where
Yeah.
when he knows that the day is coming, we're going to Disney, he doesn't want to sleep the night before. Now, he will stay in his room, but he will stay up all night, lay there all night, making noises, singing, doing whatever in his room all night. So the next day he gets up and he's exhausted, but he's so pumped, he's so excited, he's just whatever, and he'll be very lethargic during the day. He may take a nap or doze, and we have a medical stroller for him, and we were questioning whether to get it or not this year, but we decided to go ahead and do it. So we questioned about that, but we went ahead and got it anyway for just this last time, thinking, hey, why not? Because we end up we get a car, we get a Whole Foods, we get supplies for the week for his diet, whatever, and so we did all of that. So we get to Port Orleans Riverside, we get in line. My lovely wife Steph has gone to the restroom. This is the morning of the 3rd. I think it's a Tuesday, whatever that Tuesday is.
Yeah.
The team, yourself, Kyla, and a bunch of other people aren't even arriving till Thursday and Friday. So I've got a few days with the family, and then I'm kind of going to mix and match with the family and with my Upon a Star family, whatever, and then back with the family when everybody leaves. And so all thought out, all planned ahead. So we're there, and this is maybe 10 in the morning. And I'm there in line with my mother-in-law, and there's Campbell behind her. And then, of course, my wife's in the restroom. She had to go. And Campbell falls to the floor, and he's like a statue. He is rigid. He is like perfectly like a statue, laying on the floor. And of course, I jump to his side and realize he's having a seizure. Now, of course, stereotypically, and this is me, this is my stupid head. When I think seizure, I think the shaking and maybe the drooling. You got to put something in the mouth to keep the biting your tongue, whatever. Don't put any fingers in. I'm thinking Shelby from Still Magnolias. She has the diabetic seizure, in Truvy's salon, everything. They have to give her orange juice and her hair gets all messed up and stuff, Not that I've seen that movie, but if I had, that's what I was thinking of, right? And so we put something under Campbell's head to make sure it doesn't bang his head. I grab my magic band off my wrist, I put it in his mouth to make sure he doesn't bite down. But he's not moving to the point where I'm checking his pulse. It's literally that serious. I'm like, I don't know what to do here. Cast member rushes over. Hey, can I help? What can I do? Call EMTs. Let's call 911. So he immediately hops up, and I hear him kind of, we're getting Campbell kind of set. We're making sure that he's okay. He's on his side. Again, he's not moving. He's breathing. Pulse still going, but he's not moving, right? And so we're just like looking, and I'm going, we don't know what to do. So I hear the cast member behind me tell another cast member, call the EMTs, and then he goes in a very clear, stern voice, clear the lobby. Make sure the EMTs have plenty of space to move. So like cast members are moving, guests are moving out of the way, whatever. So we're right here, circled around. So Campbell begins to slowly come out of this seizure. Yeah. And so he's very groggy, very like, later on I would look back and think I don't think he knew what happened. I don't even think he knows exactly.
Probably not.
He tries to stand up, but he's wobbly. He can't stand. So we're helping him to a chair. The cast member in question that came over, his name is Derek. He introduced himself to Campbell. We're talking. He's like, what can I do? How can I help you? And so we're talking, chatting back and forth and everything. And ambulance are on the way. They're nearby. And so Derek is like, let me give you my phone number. Let me get your phone number. I want to text you to make sure we're okay. He walks out with like this Disney beach towel and this Pluto plush. He was like, I don't know if he likes plushes, but here it's here. I'll have it somewhere. It's here in my office somewhere. It's really, really sweet. He has that. And, so we're talking. He's like, hey, I've got a couple of kids of my own. He's like, and one of my daughter's 13. He's like, if this happened, I would be petrified, And of course, for me, now that things are kind of settled, he's okay. And I say okay quotes because I don't know what's happening.
Right.
But he's alive. He's
breathing. He's conscious. He's
and
smart
now it's
thinking
hitting,
with the magic band in the mouth.
Right. And my wife has already rushed over. Of course, she's like standing with him as well. And my mother-in-law, my beautiful, wonderful mother-in-law, she's standing there like petrified. She's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. And now it's hitting me. I'm like, oh boy, oh my gosh, what just happened? And Stephanie asked me, hey, can you let's go to the car. Let's grab his devices, grab his iPad, grab his phone that he plays with, to have something for his hands, something to fidget with, because he's going to have to get on an ambulance. He doesn't like doctor's offices. He doesn't like doctors. And the first thing he says when he hears ambulance, he says, no blood, no needles, no blood. Because that's what he associates with doctor's office. So we're like, Campbell, we're just going to ride in there, And so they come in with a gurney. I go outside. And of course, I send a message to you and Heather and Kyla because I'm like, I gotta, like, I want you guys to know what's going on. Because, I don't know when I'll be able to talk to you again. So I send you a message. I'm like, hey guys, here's what's going on. My voice is all shaky and breaking because literally when you got the message, this had happened 15 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. So ambulance comes.
It was pretty recent.
He doesn't want to get in the gurney. So he actually he allows us to help him onto the ambulance. He sits on the side, which he kind of thinks is actually pretty cool because we have a Lego ambulance, whatever, And I'm just like, he looks at me, he goes, Magic Kingdom tomorrow. We're supposed to go to Magic Kingdom the next day. Magic Kingdom tomorrow. I'm like,
Mm.
Campbell, I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow, whatever. We get to the doctor's office, little nearby clinic. They do a test. They're like, we need to put you in the hospital. We need to do some testing. We've got to do some testing. So we go to Children's Advent Health, um, and which is 30 minutes away from the parks, by the way, 30 minutes away from our
Yeah.
resort.
Hmm.
So Stephanie and we get to the hospital. We check in. I
Right.
actually like, I take the car and I have to return it. Take the car and I'm not going to, I don't want to go into full detail because we'll be here all day. So I do some running around, whatever, and then I drop the car off, get you an Uber to the hospital. The wonderful, beloved, amazing quasi producer Heather. We reach out. I'm like, Stephanie actually asked me. She goes, "Do you think Heather would help us?" She goes, "I got to get back to the room. I got to get food. I have to get whatever." Heather drives through traffic, 30 minutes out of her way to
Yeah.
come get Stephanie and then take her
Hmm.
back because Stephanie's like, "I do
Yeah.
not want to be at an Uber by myself. I just don't." Right? Mother-in-law staying at the resort. We've moved
Right.
over to French Quarter because somewhere along the way, my wonderful mother-in-law has mentioned how much she loves French Quarter. And Derek, the cast member, goes, "Do you want to go to French Quarter?" And she's like, "I mean, if you're offering, okay." I mean, in the midst of all this, and I'm like, "Well, I'm
Oh.
sure." So they put us in a brand new refurb room. It is so close to the front
Oh.
desk. It is like literally a 90-second walk to my room from the lobby, which is so great. So they move us over there, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Heather is magical. She gets Stephanie, brings her back, lets her get stuff, brings her back to traffic. Probably this is a 2 hour time frame out of her busy afternoon,
Yeah.
busy evening, which is great.
Right. 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 Right.
So, we stay there. Disney has contacted me every single day. They would end up contacting me every day for the next 5 days, once or twice a day. Is there anything we can do for you? Can we help you? Can we do anything for you? By this point in time, Stephanie and I've already discussed, hey, I'm like, we spent 3 days in the hospital. We're like, we can't, we're supposed to leave in like 4 days. His birthday trip's half of it in the hospital. So we decide, let's add days to the end of our trip. So we put a call out to Derek. I'm like,
Yeah.
Derek, can you help us with this? He's already moved dining around for us. He's already changed things up for us. He's already canceled dining, moved dining. He's like, I got you rescheduled from this time. We had to cancel this one, which rescheduled over here. Had to cancel that one. I got you over here, which is great. I'm like, Derek, can you, can you help us with the promo rate? He's like, absolutely. Contact Chris. I'm letting Chris know who's coming. Chris is the desk manager at Port Orleans French Quarter. We get to French Quarter. There's Chris, big stocky guy. He's like, hey man, what's going on? Everything okay with your son? He's a Campbell, right? Everything. I knew the name, knew what was going on. Everything okay? We shook hands, talked to him, and so I'm talking to him and stuff. He was like, absolutely. So we're gonna get you the same promo rate, everything for the next several nights. Added on several nights. Fantastic. So, and I'm saying all this to tell the story. Disney was amazing. They were
Awesome.
on top of it. Derek had this very stern voice with his cast members, like not authoritative, not like demanding, but more of a,
Mm-hmm.
hey guys,
Mm-hmm.
this is serious. Let's make this happen for this family,
Yeah.
whatever. To us, it was very just like, what can I do? How can I help you? Talking to Stephanie, calming her down, talking to Ruth. My mother-in-law, after we left, after Stephanie and Campbell left, he spent time talking to her, calming her down, making sure she's okay. And there is a compassion there that not most places are not going to have. I
Correct.
fully believe,
Right.
and I don't know this for sure, but I fully believe other theme parks, Universal included, would have definitely taken care of us while we were there to make sure we were okay, whatever. But the care that happened afterwards, I don't know. Maybe you would. I don't know. But Disney was so good to us. Chris, Derek, the disc managers at Riverside and French Quarter were amazing. There was another cast member. We had purchased our tickets, and Stephanie ending up having to buy another ticket or adding another day to her tickets, because there would be a day at the end she wouldn't be able to go because we'd use some of her tickets up, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I talked to a cast member in the front. We were going to buy another ticket. He ended up comping the ticket for us. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to get that guy in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't know the rules and details of how that works. But he ended up comping a ticket for us. It's like a whole day ticket for us to make sure that she could go the extra day. And Disney was fantastic.
Yeah.
The results, we got out of the hospital on Thursday. We had to go back on Friday for an MRI. Campbell was diagnosed with focal epilepsy, which I will have more to say about all of this. I'm probably going to do either a write-up or
Yeah.
make a return episode to my other podcast.
To your other podcast?
My Kids Got the Autism. I have got a podcast out there called My Kids Got the Autism. It's like 21 episodes. I haven't done it in like 3 or 4 years, but it's there and you can listen to it. It's kind of our journey growing up with autism with the kid, because I don't know anything, right? But that is kind of our early December story. Some of you guys out there know the story. Some of you, I've heard it. Some of you guys have heard the story like 50 times. And I will say, first of all, thank you to Jen and to Kyla, and to Heather, who have heard this story 75,000 times. As other people have asked, they've been in my vicinity. I'm like, well, here's what happened. And they're like, we love Campbell. But here's the story. Yes, we know. Yes, and you never express aggravation. So I appreciate that. But But yeah, so there's the story. I know that we were running long here, so we're going to close up real quick. But I just wanted to give Disney their proper respect and proper due. They were amazing, just how they handled everything, and I could not ask for a best case scenario in a very bad situation. So thank you, Disney. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Chris. I've already emailed up the chain to people, and I'm like, make sure you guys
absolutely.
let them know what's going on. And I have Riverside's text message if I need it. I'm not going to use it, but just in case, So I probably should delete that. I'll delete it anyway. So Jen, where can we find you? When are you going back? When is your next travels?
Well, Disney cruise next month.
Mm-hmm.
World. I'm actually not scheduled for World until May, but
Wow.
something usually pops
Something
up.
always
I
comes
mean,
up.
I
Yep.
was like,
Yep.
it's right. That's just
right.
how it goes.
Disney Wish team gathering in February.
Yes,
I'm not going to go to that one.
Yes,
but
yes.
Anybody else on that cruise? Great, wonderful. So let us know, Jen. Where can we find you online?
You can find me at Upon a Star Jen, or my personal Instagram is at Jen_Novotny.
Perfect. Find me online at the Magic on $8. Follow me on Facebook at Magic on $8 and Disney on $8. By the way, I just crossed 11,000 followers on my Disney on $8 page. Thank you guys out there for following. Keep following. I'm working on more content. It's almost like I have so much content. I don't know what to post first because I don't want to burn something that a month from now I'm like, oh, I should have posted this here instead of there. So I'm trying to think through everything. But yeah, of course, find us in all the places, the Upon a Star Travel at all the places and all the TikToks and the Twitters and the MySpaces and all that good stuff. And of course, find the MSA podcast on all the places as well. Jen, great to pod with you again. It's been so long.
It's been good. It's been good. Yeah, it's good to be back.
I say good to have you back as in I haven't talked to you like 5
times. I've talked to you anyway, but good
exactly,
to talk to everybody, to all the people.
Find Kyle at Disney Geek 27 on Instagram. Find Heather at the Moana Mom on Instagram as well. And of course, find all of us on all places. And so for Jen, I'm Dave. And hey, don't forget to thank your Phoenicians.
Thank you for listening to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the MSE Podcast, or visit our website at themsepodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe, and may all your wishes come true.